live.
Oh,
Okay, hello.
All right, the button says the meeting is live on YouTube, so hopefully people are getting connected. I am going to go ahead and share my screen so we can get a little Siddur in here in a moment. I want to invite you while we're pulling everything up just to go ahead and take a breath, take a deep breath. You know, some of us have been on already for more than an hour this morning. Uh-oh. I want to invite you. Hold on, let me see what that is.
We have an echo.
A breath. All right, I fixed that. I learned now that YouTube automatically opens up on my screen. Okay, so again, I want to invite us to just get settled wherever you are, wherever you're sitting, whether it's a virtual background room or a real space, to try to plant your feet comfortably, to sit up maybe a little bit straighter, to adjust yourselves, to get comfortable, and to just take one deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And then one more. All right, my friends, I am sharing our Siddur to go off of, so hopefully everybody can see that. If at any point you lose visuals of something, please do let me know and we'll try to get that sorted. And we will start out with words of moda'ani, words of just a little bit of gratitude for being here, for being together, and for the day. And I'm gonna go ahead and press the button to try and mute all, and that way I invite you to do your loudest, most boisterous, most spirited singing. We know at this point we can't all sing together on Zoom. I think that's the greatest fault of this system, but we can see each other's faces, and so sing, make your own chorus, your own harmony in your own space. Certainly a lot to be grateful for today. We're going to share things that we're grateful for a little further on in our morning, but I want you to just start thinking. We don't have to share it right now, but just start thinking, get in your head, what is something that you are feeling grateful for this morning? As you are thinking, I invite you, if you have a talis to put on this morning, to go ahead and put on your talit, and I'll invite us to say the blessing together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehitatef ba'tzitzit. Amen. So my friends, we talk a lot in our everyday lives about our physical selves, our physical healths. And I think during this quarantine, this time when we are at home and our physical practices are really probably shifted for most of us, very different than what they used to be just a few months ago, that it's so important to really notice what is going on in our own bodies, how we're feeling, how we're moving. And some days we wake up and things just don't feel right. And that's a reality, especially being homebound and having to sit more than we're used to maybe. And so I want you to just take a moment, check in with your body, go back to that breath we took at the beginning of the service. Think about how you are feeling today. If anything is working better than it normally does, if anything is maybe giving you some trouble. And then just think about, we are all here because our bodies work in the ways that they work. And for this moment, however we are feeling, however our bodies are working, that is enough for us right now. And so we'll read together these words of Asher Yatzar, recognizing just the divine miracle that our bodies work enough for us right now. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe. With divine wisdom, you have made our bodies, combining veins, arteries, and vital organs into a finely balanced network. Wondrous maker and sustainer of life, were one of them to fail, how well we are aware we would lack the strength to stand before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, source of our health and strength. Baruch atah Adonai, rofeh chol batzar, umafli la'asot. So my friends, our next psalm, Psalm 150, this psalm, hallelujah, hallel, the word praise, Yah, one of our names of God. And Yah is a word that, if you notice, for our Hebrew speakers, we have this little dot inside our extra letter inside our hey. And we don't normally have that little dot. And often this hey is pronounced like an H. It's usually silent at the end of the word. But in this particular word, Yah, it's one of the only words in our Hebrew language, one of the few where you'll see this little dot, because it's a signifier that it's not just a silent H sound. We actually really pronounce that H. We go, Yah. And it's different than that Hebrew ch, that guttural sound. It's a sound that's supposed to be airy. It's a sound that's supposed to actually connect you to breath, to this idea of your neshama, your soul. And so when you say, Yah, I want to invite you to do that and make yourself feel that airiness. Yah. You actually have to give yourself more breath in order to make that sound work. And the acknowledgement is that in this word, in this psalm, acknowledging the divine, whatever that means to us, there's naturally a connection to our breath, to that airiness within us to be able to say, Yah. And this psalm goes through all of the instruments in the holy repertoire of praise, all of the instruments that we physically have available. But if we don't have our horn, if we don't have our lyre, if our bodies don't move to dance, if we don't have our cymbals, the last thing that we need, the most important that this psalm ends with, Kol haneshama tehalel Yah, every single soul, every living thing that breathes, and that link between breath and soul has the ability to praise the divine, to praise Yah, that source of breath. So we'll sing Psalm 150. And really, I invite you, especially while you are in your own places, try to play around. What does it feel like to actually add that dot in that hey and that Yah? To really feel it. Hallelujah, 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 because hallelujah, hallelujah, brikia uzo, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 b'tov umachol. Let's switch those around. Hallelujah, 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 b'tzil tzalei hallelujah, hallelujah, b'tzil tzalei true, kol hanshama, kol hanshama tehallelujah, kol hanshama tehallelujah, kol hanshama tehallelujah, hallelujah, kol hanshama tehallelujah, hallelujah. Just another deep breath. And if you are able, I will invite you to rise either in body or in spirit, whatever is feeling right for you at the moment, as we join together for our Baruch Hu, our call to prayer. Remain standing for a moment as we move to our Shema, thinking about that breath that we connected to at the beginning of our worship, thinking about that intimate connection between the divine, that Yah, and our breath and our soul, and also thinking about Shabbat. In the story of creation, Shabbat celebrates the completion of creation. And one of the last things that we read in the story of creation is that God breathed life into humanity. And so we are so linked to this idea of breath. And so I want to invite us for Shema this morning to take each word as a breath. And now this will really work well on Zoom because everyone can take this at your own speed. I want to invite you slow, as fast as you want. We'll take each word of Shema, of this first line, as one deep breath. Let it go on as long as feels good for you. And we'll join back together for that line of Baruch Shem Kavod. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. You can go ahead and be seated, continuing with our V'ahavta. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levarecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbeha uv'kumecha Ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bin einecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tiskeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kiroshim leloechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher chotzeti etchem me'eret Mitzrayim liot lahem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet. So friends, as we move on to our Micha Mocha, our prayer of freedom, if you were with us in B'Yachad this morning, we had a great discussion on freedom, especially in light of today being July 4th, a day that we think of as America's birthday, or a day where we celebrate the freedom of America as a country. And yet we know that there are so many who are not free in America, in our wider world. And so as we sing Micha Mocha this morning, may we hold on to that spirit of freedom, that joy of this moment in Micha Mocha, this moment in our people's history of our celebration of freedom for that first time from Egyptian bondage. And may we hold on to that idea of celebrating freedom and think about what is it gonna take to get our country, to get us as Americans to a place where we can truly, authentically celebrate the joys of freedom. So friends, as we turn to get towards our Amidah, we'll prepare to rise. But as we rise physically, this is a moment in elevation of our prayer. There's really this beautiful connection between these moments when we physically stand with our bodies, showing us that this is a heightened moment, a heightened potential for connection. So as we get ready to rise, I want you to think about, and you can open the chat, think about what is one thing that you want to stand up for in a metaphorical sense this Shabbat, this time of Shabbat meant to give us space for reflection. What is one thing in your life that you are hoping to stand up for, either in the future, either that you're already doing that work now, or just something that you want to bring a little more attention to this Shabbat? And if you can think of one of those things, I'll invite you to type it. I'll go ahead and hum a little nigun. I'll invite you to rise as you feel ready, to keep typing, to rise in either body or spirit, and to also keep posting in our chat some of these things that you are standing for. Great, equal rights for all. Some people are chatting amongst yourselves. Keep going, equal protection. So I'll start with our nigun. I'll invite you to stand to keep reflecting as you're ready. Adonai, svatai tiftach. Ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, svatai tiftach. Ufi agid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'konei hakol, v'zoher chasei avot v'imahot, u'mevii gola livnei bneihem, leman shemo b'ahava, melech ozer u'moshia u'magen, baruch atah Adonai, magen Avraham, v'ezarat Sarah. Atah gibor leolam Adonai, mechayei hakol atarav lechoshiach, morid hatal, mechalkel chaim bechesed, mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, somech noflim verofe holim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar, michamocha ba'al gevurot umidomelach, melech mimit umechaye umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah lehachayot hakol, baruch atah Adonai mechaye hakol. Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam, keshem shemakdishim hoto b'shmei marom, kakatuv al yad neviecha, v'kara ze el ze ve'amar, kadosh, 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 Adonai tsevaot, melech haaretz. Kevodo, Adir, Adirenu, Adonai, Adonenu, Ma'adir, Shimcha b'chol haaretz, Baruch kevod Adonai, Mimkomo, Echad hu Eloheinu, Hu Avinu, Hu Malkeinu, Hu Moshienu, Ve'hu Yashmienu, Berachamav le'enei kol chai, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Tzion, le'or v'ador. Hallelujah. L'dor v'ador nagid god lecha, u'lenetzach netzachim kedushatcha naftish, v'shivchacha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush, le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. We can be seated. Some beautiful reflections for things that people are standing for this morning, this Shabbat, this week, this year, all the time. And I'll invite you keep sharing them in the chat if you think of them, and can certainly look back through our chat. And we'll continue this prayer, particularly for Shabbat, our Vishamru. Vishamru, Abraham Joshua Heschel said this line that more than the people of Israel keep Shabbat, that Shabbat keeps us, the Jewish people. As everyone can still see the screen share, right? We see Vishamru, thumbs up. Great, okay. All right, my friends. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et hashabat, לעשות את השבת, לדון אותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, בשבס, לעשות את השבת, לדון אותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת, לדון אותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת, לדון אותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, כשבס, לעשות את השבת, לדון אותם ברית עולם. So my friends, I want to invite you at this moment in the midst of our Amidah. We have this section, Hoda'ah, or Thanksgiving. So if there's anything that you are feeling grateful for this morning, I had you think about it way up at the front at Moda'ani. I would love for you to share what it is that you are feeling grateful for in our chat. And we are going to go around. Actually, let's go ahead. If people have something you are feeling grateful for, I would ask you to unmute yourself. And as I see our screens unmuted, I'm going to stop the share so that we can all see each other just for a moment. And this way we can hear each other's voices, because that's a little nicer. So if you have something to share, I would invite you to unmute yourself, and I will go ahead and call on you to share something that you are feeling grateful for this morning. Freema.
Okay, I'm grateful for my health, that it's a beautiful day and I could walk, and also my kubi. People mentioned that they sit all the time and can't get out, and I bought that kubi and it's great. I go on it, try to go on it for over an hour, and it's very good exercise, and just to be able to breathe and just enjoy the sunshine. And
it's a kubi.
What?
Some people need to know. Maybe you can share that in the chat of what that is, so that we can, go on our own health journeys.
I'll tell her later. I can't type.
Okay.
I don't type.
All right, we'll look it up later. Anybody else, anything that you are feeling grateful for this morning? If you would unmute, or you can type in the chat, whatever feels better for you. So health, grateful. Susie said grateful for my family remaining healthy. Yes. Certainly. Let's see, Ellen. Oh,
go ahead.
Ellen and then Hazel.
Okay.
Oh, I am very grateful for the internet that I lost for 2 days in a row. Once I lost everything, and yesterday I lost just the power. and I was able to have it restored. And it panics me because I feel little connection to begin with, and this is a step too far to lose internet connection and phone connection.
God, we're all here connected in some way to make it. Hazel.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for B'Yachad. I tell everybody about it. And there's some days I don't feel like saying anything. It's not that I don't have thoughts, but I really am so appreciative of all the life experiences and the insights that everybody has very graciously shared with one another. So thank you all.
And I'm so grateful to have been able to participate in that morning and to get to keep being with you this month at least. Let's see, Doreen, hello, good to see you.
Hello, good to see you too. So,
Anything you want to share?
yeah, so it looks like I'm going to be working from home until further notice through the whole summer. And the room I work out of is very, very hot. And I realized I'm going to have to buy an air conditioner because the fans I'm using are just not keeping me cool. And I was chatting with a girl at work, and she said, I have an air conditioner I'm giving away. I would be so happy if you just took it. So we went and picked it up, and now it's in my room, and I'm happy to say I'm not going to roast all summer now. So grateful for that.
A
And her
major
generosity.
blessing indeed. AC
Yeah.
when we have to be at home, New York City summers. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's see. Some people have written in the chat, I'm grateful for the health of my family and friends for this beautiful day. Grateful for Rabbi Pinsky's positive spirit. Thank you. All right, let's see. Anybody that I'm missing? Joyce.
I'm very, very grateful for the 4 generations that I'm surrounded by. It's just wonderful. I can put my arms around all of them. I don't see them. I mean, they pass by with the car or stop, and we talk at the window and have our telephones, and so we can hear each other. But it's the most wonderful thing to have my own, and of course, everybody else with me, around me.
Amazing. Yes, I see someone who looks like they're on a beach in a mask, but I can't see who.
Yes, it's Karen.
Hello.
I want to say I'm grateful for the beach at Coney Island. It's a little bit of paradise in Brooklyn.
Amazing. I mean, that's a pretty cool thing that you can be at Shabbat services on the beach. Look at that.
Okay.
Amazing. Anybody else that I am missing? Go ahead and feel free to shout out, or feel free to keep typing in our comments. I'm going to go ahead and reshare our Siddur. Okay. So my friends, so many things to be grateful for. I want to invite us to just take a moment of some silent prayer, silent reflection. We'll join together with Yehiyu Leratzon, but just a moment to think about what is it that you're praying for today. You can use these words on the page on the screen or your own private thoughts, and we'll just take a few moments, deep breaths. Yehiyu Leratzon Imrefi Tehyon Livi Lefanecha Adonai Tzuri Adonai Tzuri May the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable to Adonai, our rock and our redeemer, and may I find a way to free myself from this guitar and tallis. I think I'm just gonna leave it on. All right, friends, so give us a little scroll. I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing the screen because we don't need to see that anymore. So friends, this week in our Torah portion, we are in the middle of the book of Numbers. And I mentioned at the beginning of this service, there is so much going on this week, right? We have a lot going on in our Jewish calendar, a lot in our American calendar. It's July 4th. It's, this idea of freedom and what does it mean for us as a Jewish community to grapple with freedom. So Abraham Joshua Heschel, he has a quote. He asked, "Who is a Jew?" and replied, "A Jew is a person whose integrity decays when unmoved by the knowledge of wrong done to other people." I'll even post that in the chat so we can all see that. So this is a Heschel quote talking about freedom being central to our identity. And there are some moments when the Torah portion aligns with what is happening in the world so beautifully. Now, oftentimes, especially clergy, we're trained to really make connections to a lot of things. But I think that this week's Torah portion, which is Chukat Balak in the book of Numbers, really lends itself to bigger discussions on what it means to be a community, what it means to be thinking about freedom, about leadership, about who we are. Robert, is this a hand for us? Okay, feel free. So I am going to pull up our text of our Torah this morning.
By accident.
No worries, no worries. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share our Torah reading. We'll do a little bit of our Torah text, a little explorations. Let's see, did I share the right screen? Do people see the Numbers text? Yeah, okay. Give me a second because it went away on my own screen. Let me try that one more time. This is the fun of Zoom. All right, I trust that you see it. I'm gonna pull it up in my own way. And if you need to kind of scroll down or anything else and you can't see it, just let me know and I'll try to scroll to the right spot because for some reason I am not seeing what you're seeing. Okay, so our Torah portion this week, I want to chant a little piece of it to have those beautiful sounds because this is a very famous Torah portion. And then I want to actually look at just a few verses in our English, in our translation. So tell me, friends, have we been starting with the blessings for the aliyot while we've been virtual? Okay, all right. So we will start with our blessings. If you would like to rise, I'll invite you to do that. And since we're muted, I will sing both parts, but please join me in the responses. Baruch hu Adonai Hamvorah. Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher natan lanu Torat Emet v'chayei olam nata b'tocheinu. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah. Amen. All right, friends, and just for the sake of convenience in our rooms, we can sit because we have our text in front of us. Vayavo b'nei Yisrael kol ha'eda midbartzin b'chodesh harishon vayeshev ha'am b'kadesh v'tamot sham Miriam v'tikaver sham v'lo haya mayim le'eda Vayikach kahalo al Moshe ve'al Aharon, vayarev ha'am im Moshe, vayomru le'mor, velo giva'anu begava achenu lifnei Adonai, velama havetem et kahal Adonai el hamidbar hazeh lamut sham anachnu uvayrenu. So we will just look at this. I want to have us kind of in the context of elevating this text, have us look at the English. Is there anybody who is feeling compelled to read our English this morning? You can. All right, Freema, if you would unmute yourself and just tell me if I am scrolling in the right place for you, okay?
Yeah, you're good. The Israelites arrived in the body of the wilderness of Zin on the first new moon, and the people stayed at Kadesh. Miriam died there and was buried there. The community was without water, and they joined against Moses and Aaron. The people quarreled with Moses, saying, "If only we had perished when our brothers perished at the instance of the Lord. Why have you brought the Lord's congregation into this wilderness for us and our beasts to die there? Why did you make us leave Egypt to bring us to this wretched place, a place with no grain or figs or vines or pomegranates? There is not even water to drink." Moses and Aaron came away from the congregation to the entrance of the tent of meeting and fell on their faces. The presence of the Lord appeared to them, and the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "You and your brother Aaron take the rod and assemble the community, and before their very eyes order the rock to yield its water. Thus you shall produce water for them from the rock and provide drink for the congregation and their beasts." Moses took the rod from before the Lord as he had commanded him. Moses and Aaron assembled the congregation in front of the rock, and he said to them, "Listen, you rebels, shall we get water for you out of this rock?" And Moses raised his hand and struck the rock twice with his rod. Out came copious water, and the community and their beasts drank. But the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Because you did not trust me enough to affirm my sanctity in the sight of the Israeli people, therefore you shall not lead this congregation into the land that I have given them." Those are the waters of the Meribah, meaning that the Israelis quarreled with the Lord, through which he affirmed his sanctity.
Okay, thank you, Freema. And we're going to discuss this a little bit, but first, our closing blessing. If people want to rise again, you are welcome to do so, or I can rise on behalf of all of us. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. All right, so my friends, this section from Numbers chapter 20, the first 12 verses, there's so much that one can say about this section of text. It's a huge story in Jewish tradition. I actually had an entire semester of rabbinical school, an entire class devoted to these 12 verses, a deep dive. Now, I wanted to just kind of open it up. I'm going to keep the text shared for now. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller so maybe we can see more of it. Let's see. So one thing I want to point out, since we can all look at it, is this verse, why did you make us leave Egypt to bring us to this wretched place, a place with no grain or figs or vines or pomegranates? There's not even water to drink. Now, I don't know if you all are familiar. So there's a famous letter from George Washington that said, he quoted this verse in one of his famous speeches. It was also made it into a song in the play Hamilton, if you have seen that everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. This is actually a direct line out of prophets, right? Out of our text. However, we get kind of the opposite of that in this text. So the first thing that I'm thinking of this morning is that message that everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, that is the dream, right? And that's actually a very American dream in and of itself. And here we have in the history, we have our people complaining that, you know, if only we had died in the desert, if only you didn't take us out of Egypt. This is a common theme, the complaint narrative, especially in the book of Numbers. The Israelites continuously rebel in a certain way, right? And they complain, they might be free, but freedom actually brings out almost more things, more imperfections, right? It's not until we're free that we can actually see the ways in which society and life is not going so well. And then we have this famous story, the struggle of Moses striking the rock. And they're supposed to speak to the rock, but instead they strike it. They're even referred to as rebels. And because they didn't speak to the rock and instead struck the rock, this space becomes known as the Waters of Meribah, and Meribah means quarrel. And it's almost what I'm struck by in this bit of text is it's actually a simple enough story, right? It's 12 verses of Torah, and this becomes a huge focus throughout Jewish tradition. The rabbis look back and focus specifically on this story, this 12 verses, and have so much commentary. So I wanted to go ahead, I'm going to stop sharing so that I can open it up so we can see each other's faces for just a few minutes and ask, is there anything that you are struck by with this text? Is there anything that you are thinking of, especially in the context? Let's see, Durley, I see your hand if you want to unmute yourself. Is that your name? Sorry.
That's my wife's name. I'm Teddy. Yeah.
Teddy, okay, good. Great to see you. So yes, please, any thoughts you have?
Well, it starts out with the death of Miriam, but it doesn't mention the mourning, how they sort of mourn for Miriam. Like she's totally forgotten. And the congregation also doesn't give Moses any slack, even though he just lost his sister. Get right out on him. So that strikes me as just another way of how mean these people are.
Okay. Yeah, really like an amazing point, right? The context of this story is that Miriam died and she was buried. And Miriam, of course, was the story is that as the Israelites were wandering in the desert, that Miriam was kind of had this connection to the water, Miriam's well, that they're in a desert, it's dried up, but wherever Miriam went, there was a wellspring of water. And here Miriam dies, and we don't talk about the mourning, but we do have a story. All of a sudden, there's no water. Is that a coincidence? And instead of, doing whatever she did to get the water, there's now an act of violence, of something that goes against God's will. And yes, there's water, but it spirals us down this bad path because it's not how we were supposed to go about it. Anybody else have thoughts, things you're thinking about, anything that's coming up for you with this text today? Freema, yeah.
Well, I always get upset because, Moses and Aaron were so good and they led the people and they listened to everybody complaining. And, he was a human being. And, after a while, if you hear people complain, you get a little upset and sometimes you get a little crazy. So he was angry and he hit the rock. And I know God punished him really bad, but it upsets me that God punished him so bad that he couldn't go into the land if he did everything else that God told him to do with Aaron.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say the same thing. The punishment seems to be not commensurate with the very human response. But also, Teddy made me think of something. Namely, we don't hear anything of the response of Aaron and Moses to the death of Miriam. Not
Right,
only
we don't.
it was, Teddy pointed out that the parent, there wasn't given a time to mourn. We don't even know how the people responded. It's just so stark.
Mhm.
And I don't know, maybe a little bit reminds me of when Aaron's sons died with the strange fire and he was silent. But
Mhm.
there's something missing here, very
Yeah,
deeply.
in those cases, yes, we might be missing things like with Aaron, but we do get some kind of hint as to the reaction of at least one person, right, in these major deaths, and we don't get anything with Miriam. And this, we can say a lot of things about this, right? We can say, okay, well, women's voices were not so elevated in Torah. However, with Miriam, she actually is a character. She is the woman who is referred to as kind of a prophetess. She is a woman who, she gets a narrative in the Exodus story, right? She leads the women. And, now she dies. Things are going to get a little bit rocky. And thinking of freedom, so I want to share, I'm going to put it in the chat also, if reading along is better. So Abraham Joshua Heschel, I don't know, he's really speaking to me this week. A lot of his words are just calling out to me. So he wrote a piece called The Insecurity of Freedom. And he said that freedom means more than mere emancipation. So I want us to think about Heschel in the context of his time period, which was, of course, in the 50s, working side by side with Dr. Martin Luther King, to think about freedom in the context of July 4th, our time as Americans right now, and to also think about freedom in the context of our Torah portion of these are the Israelites who are just experiencing freedom for the first time, all right? Freedom means more than mere emancipation. It is primarily freedom of conscience, bound up with inner allegiance. The danger begins when freedom is thought to consist of the fact that I can act as I desire. This definition not only overlooks the compulsions which often lie behind our desires, it reveals the tragic truth that freedom may develop within itself the seed of its own destruction. The will is not an ultimate and isolated entity, but determined by motives beyond its own control. Anybody have just kind of any ways that this is striking you, any first reflections? So when I see this text, I think that Heschel is speaking to our friends in the Exodus story. I think Heschel is speaking to his community in the mid 20th century. And I think he is speaking exactly to us, that this is a lesson that has been relevant, is relevant, and will be relevant. From the time that the Israelites experienced freedom, from the time going back thousands of years, right? This idea of freedom, it's never been easy. We get freedom, but what happens when the Israelites get freedom? They complain. Right? They start trouble. That's when they build the golden calf. That's already happened. What happens when America gets freedom, right? When America is first America and gets its freedom, July 4th celebrates that, we know that there were still plenty of people who were absolutely not free, who absolutely did not have rights. Then you fast forward past Heschel, right? When our society supposedly has laws that give our citizens equal rights and equal protections. And we know that, yes, there is freedom, there is emancipation, but it's still not perfect, right? That the danger begins when freedom is thought to consist of the fact that I can act as I desire. I think this is so powerful to where we are as a society right now. That yes, we all have blessings of being able to be free, right? There are many, many ways in which we are free. We can say, our rights as American citizens, our rights to be Jewish in the world, right? To use Zoom, a major platform, and look at us, we're having Shabbat services, right? It's incredible. And sometimes when we experience our own personal freedoms, it's easy to get caught up in what our personal freedoms give us and to then overlook the freedoms of the other people around us. This is something that we can recognize throughout history. Nobody's perfect. We talked in Biachad this morning about leaders who we celebrate, and even our most lauded leaders are not perfect. Moses himself, my goodness, this week's Torah portion is an example of his faults as a leader. And so we are just on this continuous path of fighting for freedom from our history, our people's stories in Torah, from before that, from before we even had written history, right? All throughout our history as a Jewish people, our history as Americans, our history as a broader society. This is our struggle. And on today, a day when we think about freedom, a day when, this year especially, the idea of America and America being a free society, it's a pretty fraught idea, right? That there's a lot of people who would say they don't consider themselves free in the same way. So one thing for us, I invited before the Amidah to think about what is one thing that you are standing up for. Some people shared beautiful thoughts. I want to invite you to keep thinking, especially this convergence of Shabbat, our time where we really get this built-in reflection, our convergence of Shabbat, July 4th, of our Torah portion this week, and everything going on in our lives, to just really continue that work of thinking about what does our freedom mean? What are the implications of our freedom on other people? And how can we work to make this society more free, more emancipated in a way that feels more true to our ideals? How can we live our actions to suit our values and our ideals? All right, friends, at this time, I'm going to go ahead and share our Siddur again in a moment. And I want to bring our attention to those in our community who are in need of some healing of mind, of body, of spirit. I'm looking and okay, there's our Misha Berach, great. So I'm going to pull up our list of those in our community who we're thinking of. And this is a time where so many in our community are in need of healing, physical healing, emotional healing. There is so much going on, and we are in the midst of a global health pandemic. And there are still so many who are being affected by that. There are people who are being affected by staying in our homes in so many ways. And so we think particularly of Jesse Sakharoff, Ronnie Turek, Ira Weiss, Elaine Drucker, Alan Freemer, Susan Bilecki, Andrew Matsala, Jeffrey Levinson, Michael Scott Landisberg, Michael Luck, Barry Strumpf, Selma Carl, Jacqueline Halpern, Joan Bumgarner, Violet Kopp, Jamie Hershey, Sandy Alfont, Irene Nashinoff, Esther Botlusi, Suzanne Chamow Friedman, Dolores Weinberger, Ingrid Grosso, Roberta Gotthelf, Audrey Cohen, Fran Sisler, Ruth Ryback, John Carfisi, Francis O'Haran, Orlando Aiello. Also, we include these names: Suzanne Leknos, Florence Schoen, and others in the chat. I'm going to open up our chat if there's any other names that we want to share and acknowledge. So Marlon McGivney, Suzanne Fishkin-Hurwitz, Della Cohen, Nina Moinister, Susan Shuro, Michael Moore, Nancy Connor, Michael Datch, Dave Stanger, Mary Katz. Please, if I unintentionally mispronounce any names that you are sharing, please feel free to recite them out loud. Also, Mary Katz, we said, Rebecca Rothstein, Bambi Polk. Give it just another second. Please feel free to continue sharing names. Freema, yes.
Elaine Gaudet, Ellie Heimlich, Phyllis O'Neill, Harry Franco. Thank you.
Is there anybody else that needs to share out loud?
Yeah, Marion McGivney. I think you said Marlon. You didn't pronounce it right.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'd like to share Sylvia Tishkovitz, Gertrude Bearworld, Lenore Arano, Scott Coleman, Dworkin family, and also you, Rabbi Pinsky, and your family.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So we will join together our prayer for healing. Misha Berach. Misha Berach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach imotenu mikor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. My friends, as we prepare to conclude, I'll invite everybody to rise for our Aleinu, if you are able. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, lateit girula liotzer bereshit, shehunot shamayim v'yosid haaretz, umoshav yikarov hashamayim umima'al, u'shchinatu zo b'govhei meromim, hu Eloheinu einod, ve'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech, malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'nemar, v'chaya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. We can be seated for a moment. And this is the point in our service where we would traditionally have some announcements. Eric, do you know, are there any announcements that you want to share or anything we should know about upcoming?
Good Shabbos.
Shabbat Shalom.
Usually do it after the Kaddish, but
After Kaddish. Well, how about now, since we're in this
well,
moment?
we will. I'm just mentioning it. So the only things that are coming up are Tuesday, of course, is Torah study with Sam Silverman, and whoever's interested that is not already on his list to invite, you could always join by calling Sam or calling the office, and they'll get in touch with Sam. And of course, I welcome Rabbi Pinsky back because it's been a while since, and you led the service. It was really a wonderful biyakad, and the service was really good too, and inspiring. And we look forward to next weekend and coming forward. Friday night service is led by Robin Bass and Diane Figueroa. And next Saturday will be Rabbi Pinsky again, and for the remainder of the summer. So that's a good thing. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but I can't think at the moment.
There is
I
one.
think we got it. Yeah,
What?
someone said there's
Open mic membership.
Open mic,
Yes.
July 25th.
And we're looking for talent. We're looking for any kind. No, you don't have to sing or dance. You can tell a story, tell a joke, a magic trick, something. Whatever you'd like to do, we are accepting all offers.
all the talent of B'ShERT.
All the
I
talent.
forgot, I didn't have that talent. Anyway,
Okay.
All right, my friends.
everybody have a wonderful 4th of July and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you, Eric.
I look forward to
So-
going to the real beach today. So
Great.
I'll join Karen.
I will invite everyone to just take a breath again, kind of get settled back in your bodies as we shift a little bit and turn our thoughts to those who are no longer with us, loved ones who we've lost at this time in seasons past, recent deaths, people in Shloshim, Shiva. So this week, B'ShERT is remembering lovingly and acknowledging the recent deaths of Stephen Kamholtz, Robert Serpico, Jeanette Riley, Melvin Barash, William Lampy, Martin Schenken, Solomon Tettelbaum, Sean Singer, Jeff Harris, Sammy Berger, Rabbi Kenneth Roseman, Chaim Bronzweig, Harry Baylor, Ben Schaefer, Shirley Hyatt Tobias, Myron Klein, Ted Tobias, Sandy Gannon Abel, David Ribbler, Bess Newman, Buzz Lorch, Benjamin Benyomin Elwood, Edward Albino, Joseph Davis, Jerry Sharon, Gary Zeitlin, Sean Devlin, David Levy, Lenny Drucker, Beverly Tredinick, Evelyn Pincus, Rita Spiro, Beatrice BJ Jacobs, Melvin Jurgrau, Gloria Katzen, Lorraine Elner, Amanda Corwin, Mel Paul, Nigel Grant, Benjamin Resnick, Arthur Roski, Carol Andre, and Asher Graham Pinsky. If there's other names, I would invite you to share them in the chat. Doreen, I just want to check, this is a yahrzeit name.
Yes, it's
Okay.
a good site.
I wanted to make sure I wasn't still reading the Misha B'Sherat lifts. Okay, so
Yeah.
Jason Dworkin, Leatrice Langer, or Latrice, if you would want to correct us with the pronunciation. If there's anyone else that you are remembering that you want to acknowledge, I would invite you to do so.
Yes, I have some names.
Okay, so please go ahead.
Selma Gold, Sheila Katan, Dr. Mark Leibowitz, Dr. Tina Polk, and Dr. Austin Schlecker. Thank you.
All right, Freema, I saw you.
My husband, Leonard Schneier, 24 years that he's gone. Thank you.
Eric, I think I see your hand, yes.
Abby Shack and Ted Gordon.
And if there's anyone I'm not seeing, you can unmute yourself or type in the chat. All right, so we hold all of those names, the ones we mentioned, names unmentioned that we hold in our hearts.
Beverly Berkowitz had some names in the chat.
Oh, okay, let's see. Okay, great. Harry Berkowitz, Ronald, Sally, and Dr. Richard Schiffman, thank you for that. So we'll join together for our Mourner's Kaddish, and I'll invite you to rise if it's your custom. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, bi'alma divorach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei zechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'bizman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudisha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma v'yimru. Amen. Yehi shlama Rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. friends, we'll sing just a bit of O Say Shalom. You can remain standing if you want to just kind of move your bodies a little bit. You can be seated, whatever feels comfortable for you at the moment. I'm going to stop the share so we can see each other's faces. O say Shalom bimromav, Hu yaseh Shalom aleinu, Ve'al kol Yisrael, Ve'imru, amen. I want to invite us this week, this July 4th weekend, to think of shalom in the context of the peace that comes with freedom, of working towards a greater peace and freedom amongst all people. These things are inherently connected. We have to do the work to bring that shalom, that peace and that shlemut, that completion and wholeness into our society in order to truly feel free and be free. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. My friends, a blessing for you this Shabbat. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May God be kind and gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May you feel a divine presence with you always, wherever you are, and may you feel that shalom, may you feel that peace, may you feel that wholeness and completion in your lives wherever you are, knowing that we are a beautiful community that is able to come together even when we're not in person. Shabbat shalom, everybody. I'll keep us open for just a few minutes to hang around and